my God, you guys, get ready for an amazing episode with the original Carrie Bradshaw, Sex and the City author, Candace Bushnell. I was fangirling my ass off, and I didn't get to ask all the questions I want to or make all the points I wanted to. So for this one, I would definitely say after it, go to patreon.com/howcome, listen to our extras, because there will be many of me and Charlotte's thoughts, things that we didn't get out that we wanted to. But this woman is an icon, and you're going to learn so much from this episode. Also, a lot of you wrote in last week being like, the live show is not on the website. It wasn't. It is now, so go get your tickets. A lot of them are selling really quickly, so just go get them. The room is small. It's like only 60 people, so it's going to be really intimate and fun, but they are selling out quickly. But yes, they're on RemyCasimir.com now and HowComePodcast.com, August 14th. Come see us. We're going to be talking about STDs and herpes with my friends who have herpes and are amazing stand-up comedians. Also, I think merch might be down this week. Unfortunately, Etsy might be a little mad at us for using the word cum, but check on the store. It might be up again. Charlotte's been fighting the battle, and we just received our sweatshirts, and they're so soft and cozy, and we want you to all have them. So if we can't make Etsy do it, we'll sign up with Shopify or something, but check the site. It should be on HowComePodcast.com. If not, we're having a little difficulty, but we let everybody know what's going on down to the minute on How Come Podcast, our Instagram. So if you're not following the Instagram, do that. We'll let you know up to date all the moments. And now we have that swipe up feature. So whenever I share ticket stuff or articles, like, you guys can just click through to that. And yeah, if you like this episode, let us know. Go rate us, review us in iTunes. We need more reviews. iTunes has changed it now. There's not top 200 comedy podcasts. It's just top 200 overall. So we're like trying to get up there, but like it seems impossible. But if all of you rate and review and subscribe and get your friends to do it, then maybe people will find out about How Come again. Tag us in your stories. Come on, tag us on Instagram. We love it. Another way you can help us, send us money. We need it. Go to patreon.com/howcome. Our goal is $5 a month from 50 of you, and then all of our costs for the podcast will be taken care of. Hosting, editing, all of that stuff. If you don't want to do a monthly cost, that's okay. We understand you don't like just getting yourself trapped into stuff. You can send us a one-time PayPal if you want to help us get new audio equipment or video equipment. We'd love to start making videos. Send us a PayPal to ourfamousfriends@gmail.com. It would really, really help us, and we'd appreciate it so, so much. And how cool is this? I can't believe we got Candace Bushnell. I'm excited. Here we go.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Welcome back to How Come. This is a very exciting episode. We have a legend in the house, right, Char? This is awesome. You guys, she is a critically acclaimed international best-selling author of 9 books, including the infamous Sex and the City. Her latest book is There Still Sex in the City? Everybody bow down to Candace Bushnell.
Woo! Woo!
Welcome, Candace.
It's great to be here. So many things to talk about.
So many things to talk about. Charlotte and I both ripped through your book in a day each, less. Like,
I was like, I can't put it down.
Yeah.
That's great.
So good.
Thank
it's
you.
So fun. I have to admit, I never read the Sex and the Cities. I'd only watched, and reading your writing is awesome. Like, I'm going to go back and do everything. It gave me all of the feels.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Totally.
Yeah. And this book is about so many things. In your Instagram post announcing the book, you say, in the 3 years it took to write, I endured a lot of emotional pain.
Yes.
There was a fallout from my divorce. I moved. My father died, and my best friend took her life. There were times when I wondered what I was doing and why, when I questioned what was the point of it all, when I questioned what was the point of me. Sometimes the only way I could continue was by pretending I was an anthropologist from another planet, determined to record the goings-on of these crazy creatures called humans. And miraculously, what I didn't lose was my greatest blessing, my sense of humor. This ability to laugh in the face of pain and sorrow and uncertainty is what I bring to you in Is There Still Sex in the City?
Exactly.
And I just love that. And now we all have this amazing book, and I'll just let you explain exactly what it's about.
Well, I think it's really about life. I say if Sex in the City was about choices,
Yeah.
is there still sex? in the city is about the consequences of those choices. Mm-hmm. So what really inspired me to write Sex in the City was I was in my mid-30s.
Yeah.
I wasn't married. I had all these girlfriends and they weren't married either. And we all thought we were so fab. Mm-hmm. And we were, I mean, our problem then was not like, hey, how can I get a guy to ask me on a date? It was, how can I get a guy to make a commitment? Mm-hmm. So this idea was, hey, there are all these great women and there are no guys are lining up to marry us. Something's wrong. Mm-hmm. And so it was really, and also in your 30s, you're kind of at that, not so much anymore, but back then, like if you were going to have a kid, you kind of had to get on it, you know? Yeah. And I wrote that in the mid 90s. Mm-hmm. So it was like kind of it was a real period where, and there weren't supposed to be single women in their 30s. So people would look at you like, oh, you poor thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're single and there's something wrong with you. Yeah. You
like the pity.
Baggage.
It's wild to think about that now because like I'm going into my 30s and like I'm not scared now the way I think I thought I would have been then.
Yes. Well, we were scared and because nobody knew what was going to happen. And then but then the interesting thing is, you know, I mean, I don't want to say most people, but a lot of people, they do get it figured out in their late 30s, early 40s. It's like a lot of people get married, you start a family. You know, it's like your career's going. It's like that's when you're doing it all. And that's great. But then there's another chapter that no one tells you about. And it's like what happens after the happily ever after. And that's what is there still sex is about. It's like all these women thought they'd found the happily ever after because I'm going to tell you, I mean, I don't know anybody who gets married thinking, oh, I'm going to get divorced and have
would you get
and
married
have no money like in my
divorced?
50s and have a crappy life. Like, no, people really set out thinking like, I've got it all figured out. And then a variety of things can happen and it falls apart. And then to me, it feels like these are the same. It's like that same sort of Sex in the City issue of like,
just like a little older,
but older. But it's like you've got to figure out your life again.
Totally. It's like, it just shows that there's life cycles all the time. And I talk about these with my girlfriends. Like my friend Gabby the other day, she was on an episode and we were saying, we're like, I feel like we have the same problems that we did when we were teens, but now we're like a little older and better equipped. But it feels like it's just going to keep happening, and like you just have to keep learning at every level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most important thing. It feels like there are lessons that you have to learn at every stage, and you realize that once you get into your 50s. And I think for a lot of people, when you get into your 50s, you think, okay, I'm just going to sort of stall here. And, you know, and that's for a lot of people just really depressing. But also for a lot of people, they can't because they've got to figure out their lives all over again.
Totally.
And part of that is dating again.
Yeah, because you're seeing so many people restart their lives in so many ways, not even just romantically. Like a lot of the men lose their jobs, have to move on. A lot of the women are changing career paths. The character of you, was it you? Can we say it's you?
It was me. I mean, it's this weird auto fiction. So it's, you know, it's first person. I mean, it's really how I chose to present the material.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually in one early version of this. It was really only about the Cubs. And there were different characters, and these two women, they were broke, and they decided to use the Cubs to start a brothel for their women friends.
That is a very different book.
And that I was just thinking would be a great TV series.
Yeah, it would.
And it was just going to be like, I mean, it would work if it was kind of like Ab Fab.
Yeah, I love Ab Fab.
Yes.
Have you ever seen Ab Fab?
It's
great.
Really fun.
We should watch that next. But I love that whole terminology with cubbing. Instead of like, you always think of the cougar, and you say this in the book, is like, there's this one representation of it, and it's like the Mrs. Robinson thing. And it doesn't end well, and you don't really see any other representations of older women dating younger men in pop culture until The Real Housewives. We see a lot of that with
Yes.
them. And then cubbing, instead of it's not this woman going after a younger man, it's younger men going after older women.
Exactly. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, like, if I were 30, if I was 20 and someone said, hey, when you're 50, like a 21-year-old is going to be interested in having sex with you, I would have been like, right.
Yeah.
On what planet? Like, I mean, I grew up in a time where the woman, basically, you had to be 2 years younger than the guy.
You had to.
You had to. And if you were the same age, or if you were 6 months older, you would be like, I can't go out with him. I'm 6 months older. It was such a rigid rule. So,
Charlotte recently was dating somebody, and Nanny was like, how much older is he? And she was like 4 years. And she's like, good age difference.
Exactly. I mean, it was really, those age differences were rigid.
So important.
And so important. So, it's like women my age and women who are a bit younger, we grew up with those distinctions. So it's not, the idea of like, oh yeah, a guy who's like 10 years younger or something. But a guy who's like 20 years younger or 30 years younger. But these guys, they pursue older women.
Yeah. I was staying at a friend's in Southampton the other weekend. And
so you know.
I know. Yeah. And there was a guy, and he was bragging about, he was like 23, and he was bragging about how he'd hooked up with a 46-year-old. And he's like, yeah, and I was...
This happens all the freaking time at Southampton Social.
Yes. Legit. That's where it was.
Southampton
And then we went there that
Social.
weekend because he wanted to see her. But he kept saying that he was... ramming her or so, I can't remember
my God.
the terminology. What's a word like when it's like they're like humping you and you don't really like it?
Ew, it sounds terrible.
Yeah, it sounded terrible. Anyway, it was like ramming her or like pumping her or whatever. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, honestly, I don't think she probably liked that. And he's like, yeah, she texted me the next day being like, I don't like to just be stuffed. Huh? Isn't that amazing? And I'm like,
what?
No, that's not amazing. You have to take that into account next time. Like she was just like, yeah, I think you're really cute, but like,
You're bad in bed.
But you're bad in bed.
Okay, this was going to be the thing that happened in the show about the Cubs trying to make them. One guy was going to get like $1,000, and so the woman comes in from Texas. Jackrabbiting.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, Southampton Socials definitely. I've heard so many stories. I also heard a story from some people in Southampton. Their son went out, stayed in their house with his couple of his friends, his guy friends. They're all his age, like 22, 23. One of them brings back a woman who's older, and she comes into breakfast, and I
know this story.
And the parents
are friends with the mom.
Yes.
So funny.
It's just, yeah. It's real.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking I was like, I think I know who one of these characters is because it sounds like a storyline from Housewives.
Well, actually, when I first started the book, I did reference Carol.
Yeah.
And the younger guy.
The chef.
Yes.
Adam.
The chef.
I was like, you're talking about that. And then I was like, she can't be talking about. And then I was like, Luann's niece.
Yes. Exactly. I don't think Luann will be upset. I don't know. I know Luann. It doesn't matter. But originally when I wrote that piece, because I know Carol, and I was like, this is the perfect example
of a cubbing situation.
Cubbing. Like, Carol was just innocently there, and then there's this young guy after her, and I did run into them a couple times, and I did think like, I don't know. Because you think it's not really going to last. And then if it does last over a year.
What do you make of that?
What do you make of it? Because it is a bit awkward. I mean, look, it's awkward the other way around as well. When there's an older guy and a younger woman. And I've been that younger woman. I mean, when I was 19, I was with a guy who was 60.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you meet?
We met at a tennis tournament, a celebrity tennis tournament.
Okay.
And he was a celebrity.
Wow. Okay. Well, so he was attractive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was
You want to say who it is? No.
Yeah, I don't.
No,
I'm not
okay.
going to. Because actually, that was the guy who I had the first orgasm with.
Really?
Yep. I mean, he was an attractive guy. I'm not going to say who it
No.
is,
You
but-
don't have to at all. But I do want to know how the first orgasm happened.
Well, I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty daring. And I didn't have sex until I was 18.
Okay.
And then I had sex on my 18th birthday. And it's like in these days, it felt like women could take control of their sex lives. And I was like, well, I don't have a boyfriend, but I definitely don't want to be a virgin forever because it was just that time.
Yeah.
It was like something that you as a woman felt like you should do out in the world. You were going to, have a different life than your mother.
Yeah.
And so there was such a cute guy who was so cute. He was the number one tennis player. And he was not the smartest person in this school. Although this school was filled with very, very, very smart people.
Yeah. But he was a nice boy.
He was nice. He was from around there. And he was really, really cute. And
We like to call those golden retrievers.
yes,
They're like kind of
exactly.
dumb, but they're fun and they're sweet.
But he was super, super cool though.
Yeah.
Because people were cool in those days. We went to see like the birds and stuff, and then he had all those Indian print things on his ceiling and walls. So I just picked that guy out basically,
yeah.
and I, kind of went out with him for a couple weeks beforehand, and then I seduced him, and then I got him to do it. He didn't want to do it.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I gotta have a girlfriend." I was like, "Shut up, do it. You're attractive enough. You're good looking." And you know what I did? I ate a can of mixed nuts for some reason. Planters mixed
For
nuts.
protein?
I don't know why I was hungry. And I drank. I had about probably 4 or 5 shots of vodka.
Not a great meal.
And it wasn't great. And then I was like,
Wait, but he didn't want to have sex with you because you were his girlfriend?
no, because he was like,
He had a
kind
girlfriend?
of had a girlfriend, but really he didn't want to because he didn't want to have sex with a virgin. He was like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, do it. I mean, come on, really? Like, guys don't usually,
Right.
at that age, say like, hey, if someone's
But Candace, no means no. You may...
that could be true. I mean, I didn't make him do it, but I was like, do it.
Do it.
And then afterward, I threw up outside of his window.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, all right, see ya.
Thanks for
And
the time.
I actually don't think I probably didn't see him again. And then I probably ran into him with his girlfriend at some point, and it was just like, what up? Hi.
Hi. So good
It
to
was
see you.
fine. Those kinds of things. That was the world.
This is something I've been thinking about because I had a similar like losing virginity story in that like I was about to go on vacation. I wanted to do it with somebody and I kind of just did it
Right.
with my friend who like we'd been hooking up for a little and I was like, just do
Do
it
it.
essentially.
All right. And then you're like, is that it?
Yeah, or like
I was like,
it's
are
like
you
it's
kidding?
not the best time, but also it's not the biggest deal. Like everybody thinks it's going to be this huge thing where like your hymen bursts and you bleed everywhere. Like that didn't happen for. I was like, oh, I need someone to break the seal. There was no seal to break,
Well, yeah.
right?
I don't know. I mean, what I remember is it hurt really,
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah,
But then everyone was like, well, it really hurts at the beginning, so then you have to get used
you have
to
to
it.
practice.
And then you have to practice. So, then so I was like, okay, I have to do this.
Yeah, I was like, I guess I just have to practice getting jackrabbited.
But in those days, see, the difference is those were the guys who would perform oral sex
Did he?
for an hour. Oh, God, yes.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, nobody was jackrabbiting and having sex in like 5 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Also, we're not making fun of someone who can only last 5 minutes. This guy was a very selfish lover. He could last longer, but he just wanted to jackrabbit his way on home. No, there are guys, people with penises, who want to last longer.
Yes.
But can't. And we have a really cool thing to help them out. You guys need to check out Roman Swipes. They're amazing. They are convenient, over-the-counter wipes, clinically proven to help you last longer. They're effective, doctor-approved, easy to use, and fast-acting. And it sounds too good to be true, right, Candace?
Yes.
Well, swipes are the real deal. Studies have shown up to a 340% increase in stamina after 3 months of regular use. They will ship to you in a discreet, unmarked packaging, and each Swipes packet is small enough to hide in your wallet. And what makes Swipes better than all those creams and foams out there is the desensitizing effect that could transfer onto your partner or numb them won't transfer to you. So all these creams and foams, like, you'd be like, why would I want longer lasting sex if I can't even feel it?
Exactly.
This won't numb you. It'll just make the sex last longer for the penis in question. So all you got to do, super easy to use, just take the Swipes out of the packet, wipe it on your most sensitive areas, and wait a few minutes. And that's it. So keep Roman Swipes in your back pocket for longer, better sex, and get yours fast with free 2-day shipping by visiting getroman.com/howcome. That is getroman.com/howcome. And the swipes will come fast, but you won't. But yeah, I want to hear more about these thoughtful lovers that you started going out with.
I mean, it was like, guys, they were always like going down on you. Sex would
Really?
Yes.
Why do
all
you think
the
that
time
is?
Because it was the fashion.
Okay.
It was the style. That porn was really big. Remember, there weren't a lot of videos. And, oral sex, it was all about women having orgasms.
Where did that go then?
That's a very good question. That went the way of, easy porn.
Yeah.
Because that's all guys see is guys just getting off. Whereas, guys would be like, oh, they'd want to be having sex for so long. Like, they'd be going down on you for like an hour. You'd be like, come on.
Yeah, I feel like there
And
was
that
like
doesn't happen anymore, apparently.
No, you were saying like the jackrabbit sex. Like, what are the women getting out of it?
Okay, well also, can we talk about that too? Because that's another aspect, is the not good in bed young guy. I mean, is this a real thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was like a moment in time where like we started shaming guys for being giving in bed.
That must have been the reason, because
Like, I remember thinking like if a guy wanted to please you, like he was kind of a pussy.
that's
crazy.
That's crazy, because all we had were guys who wanted to please us, and we expected them to. And that was what we were told. We were told, you deserve an orgasm, and if you're going to be with a guy, you should be getting an orgasm. Like, you are not, and they should worship you.
So
And they did.
Did your parents tell you that, or like who was telling you?
No, it was
besides the
in
porn?
magazines.
In magazines.
It was the early 80s and the late 70s. There was the big O, and that was Helen Gurley Brown. And it was women's magazines, Mademoiselle, Glamour. Maybe not so much Vogue, but there were also these exciting magazines like New Woman. They were feminist magazines.
Yeah.
So there was there was a huge amount of feminism. Like, if you walked down Fifth Avenue, you would see women protesting porn. Oh yeah. And women were on the streets, they were protesting. And the magazines were saying to women, if, men should be giving you an orgasm. Here's how you do it. You instruct them, blah, blah, blah. And, and
So
this
basically
idea,
saying all the stuff that we're saying now.
with this idea,
But nobody
of
was
like,
saying it to me.
But this idea of like, oh, yeah, this is sex. Like, you go down on him, and then maybe he sticks his thing in you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, no, that was not acceptable.
Yeah.
If a guy did that, people would be like, "Oh, he's the worst."
But that's what it sounds like this
bed.
jackrabbit guy is doing.
He's jackrabbiting his way around.
Yeah.
But that's no good. He needs to be retrained.
And can they be trained?
Of course. Now, this is the whole problem. Like, this whole, like, the hairlessness. In the 80s, nobody was waxing or shaving.
Yeah.
Anything.
And you know what? Nobody was complaining.
Yeah.
They were all doing it, and they were all doing oral sex because they loved it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
You know,
maybe
they
it was
were
the
happy.
beauty. Or no, it's porn, I guess. Like,
I don't know. Maybe the way fashion changes, the way porn changes, sex changes. You know, like
yeah,
it all goes
it's
through
all, like,
kind of
cyclical.
phases.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems like I think everybody has to be more and more uniform. You know what I'm saying? Like with plastic surgery, it's like the idea of plastic surgery is it's always to make everybody look more toward the median.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
100%. Well, that's what I was thinking is so interesting about hearing how feminist everyone was regarding their sex lives, but still everyone was focused on getting married and having kids and settling down. And in the book, you talk about middle-aged madness.
Yes.
And that was such an interesting thing that like sparked in my brain, because I remember when Charlotte and I were younger, we would talk about how come all the moms are so crazy? You know, why do all the moms get so crazy? But you realize
but
through
how
this
old
book,
were they?
I mean, maybe they were like late
50?
40s. Yeah, 50. Like,
Right.
and it was, and we would be confused, but in so many of these stories, you're seeing why these women are crazy, like whether it's, or not crazy, but,
Right.
but
But-
driven to feeling trapped.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's you know, it's like it's a different stage in life. And really, if you think about it as a woman, you're going from, you know, as soon as you get your period, like you have a reproductive brain. Like you've got all these hormones. I mean, a lot of women like really care about babies.
Yeah.
Like if you see a baby, you're like,
I'm one of them. I know that you don't relate,
like,
but
why?
I love them. They're
I'm
fat.
not- and
They're
I'm-
cute.
I'm not criticizing that or anything anyway, but it's like, you know, and then you care so much about relationships and what guys think, and you're trying to figure out, like, I guess these days, if you're lucky, because a lot of women, they don't even seem to interact with men that much at all, but you're trying to figure out like what it means, and so your brain is oriented towards it's kind of caring for others.
Yeah.
And then when you get to be, you know, when you go through menopause and then you're a PM, which could be postmenopausal, or I call prime minister of your own life, because you know, being a gender, it matters a little bit less.
Yeah.
And so you feel like, you know, it's like, we all have a male, and
It's
I
not
call
like,
it
why isn't
male.
she making babies anymore? It's like, well, she can't be making
like,
babies.
what does she want
So
to do?
now we have to
So
figure
now-
out what she wants to do.
You figure out what you want to do, and you know what? Maybe you want to do something really creative. You know, it's like men have the permission to go off and do something and not worry about family or children. Like we let men go off and do that as a culture, but we don't let women do that.
Well, I think there's something
And
economically
this is a
tied to it,
time
right?
When women can, it's like, you know, that's one of the things you can do when you get to this PM age.
Yeah, but it seemed like a lot of the women in the stories, like who did well in their PM lives, were women who had jobs and maintained their own lives and didn't see marriage as this like going to be happy ending, like bow that ties it all up.
I mean, I have to say that's, you know, I mean, looking back and looking, you know, it's being my age, like you can look back and kind of see how people's lives have turned out. And that's what this is about. And the reality is that women who put their financial health or lives or put their finances into the hands of a man, that's a very risky thing to do.
Yeah.
Because number one, you have way less power, and number two, in a lot of these cases, the man got greatly in debt trying to keep up a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, or he lost his job, or I've seen this happen quite a few times where a couple that feels like they have, hey, I'm in the 20%, maybe, 10%, or especially with people who feel like, who are in the 1%. I mean, you could go from the 1% to the 50%
real quick,
pretty easily.
Yeah.
And
especially if you're not like looking at the books and you don't know things. Like Teresa Giudice went to prison because of something her husband was doing financially. Like if you have zero control and zero knowledge of anything could happen to you.
Yes. And the other aspect is having a career and just keeping your hand in, maybe in a real way. I mean, you probably miss more. You're going to miss some of those moments being there, but life is long.
Yeah.
And now one really does have to think past when the kids are grown and they're off in school. I mean, that's like a fuzzy
time in your life that no one really talks about.
Yes.
And for a lot of people, their relationships or marriages or love cycles are over and they start dating again.
Yes.
In the book, there's like a scene where two women are at a bar and one hasn't been single for a while, and she's like, "Why isn't anyone looking at me?" And the other one's like, "We don't do that anymore." Like, and you'd been sent on this Tinder assignment too.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, things like Tinder and Instagram. I mean, it's not just the way we date. Is it going to someday be just how we look at other people in general?
Yeah.
And that's scary.
as like very disposable.
Like how many likes does somebody have? And, it's because, there is, people feel a bit more disposable, definitely online dating. And
when it's a numbers game, you're literally just one of a million.
yes.
Whereas before it was like with that whole love the one you're with thing, it's like, okay, well, I don't really have any other options, so let's sit here and work on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the idea of love the one you're with is if you're in the same place as somebody else, you already have something in common. If you're in the same city, you're having the same experiences, you're seeing the same news, you have the same, concerns. So you already have something in common.
Yeah, it's like meeting somebody at a concert. You don't have to go on the app and be like, "Do you like concerts?" It's like, we're both at the concert.
Exactly.
We both like concerts.
And what's incredible is, human beings are designed instantly to size each other up. I mean, you walk down that street and you can look at everybody wears everything, like how much money they have, where they come from, how
much money they're trying to appear to have.
It could be that. I mean, they're just, you read so much information when you see someone in person. We're designed to do that. And you also can read, people can see pretty quickly, like, hey, I could be sexually attracted to this person, I'm not. And what we're really bad at, we're bad at judging an image, which is why we have movie stars. I mean,
it's a curated series of images.
But it's like, have you, when you meet a movie star, I mean, I've met, like, first of all, I hardly would even know they're in the room because they're so short. Okay. So, like, there's a buzz going on and you're looking around. I'm like, is there a mouse in the corner? It's like, no, it's a movie star.
They're so short.
But no, I'm just being obnoxious. But
no, it's true. A lot of people tell me I'm short whenever they meet me. Not that I'm like, they just assume I'm tall by my weird voice. They're like, you're small.
But also, it's like they're, a lot of the time you meet someone, they're just nothing like their persona. Like, they're not sexy and they're flat. But people, we're very good at falling in love with an image and imagining and imbuing an image with all kinds of characteristics that it doesn't have.
Totally.
So that's basically, where we are is, we're caught between the reality and the pull of the image. And I guess that's why people put so many images of themselves out there, because it's like, now that's what we're using to attract our images.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's holding up a signpost. Here I am. It's weird.
Yeah, and I thought an interesting thing was that your Tinder populated photos of you without you doing it. And then so after a while and a bunch of matches, you were like, oh, they're matching with a person that isn't me.
Exactly. I mean, that was the thing that was like so strange, was that it had somehow filtered through all of my Facebook pages, and I somehow have like 3 Facebook pages. I don't know why. And it picked out literally like the 3 best photos of me from when I was really young. And so that already sets you up of like, is this person going to be disappointed? Is it da-da-da-da-da-da? And
it also chose your age range for you.
Yes, it did.
Which
and
I
the
think
age
is crazy.
range was, I think the age range it chose for me was like 55 to 65. And there were literally no takers.
Yeah.
None. And
Yeah.
then I noticed that, and when I changed it to 22, I got hundreds of replies.
That's wild.
So it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we should all be worried about putting so much of our information into these algorithms. I mean, I don't think there's anything one can do about it, but
Speaking of algorithms, it was also crazy in the book how you, or the character based off you, couldn't get a mortgage because you were in the algorithm of single, older, female, like even
Yes.
being so successful you can't get a mortgage. And I was like, wow, no one is ever safe.
exactly.
It also surprised me when you talk about Madison World and the world of the Upper East Side, and how even you, who basically defined cool and sexy in the city, can feel insecure around salespeople at Barney's. And
Yes.
But basically what I'm saying is that all of this is so relatable for a woman at any age.
Exactly.
But one of my favorite parts was when, for most of the book, you're just happily single.
Right.
Well, I don't want to give anything away. But there's one part in the book where you say getting dressed up is a sign that you're ready to meet someone. And I thought that was so cute and so like, yeah. It's like, I'm ready to put on my face now because I've taken enough time for me.
Yes, and it really was the first time that I felt like getting dressed up.
Yeah.
In a long time, because I really hadn't probably for a good 4 years. And I mean, of course, I went out and would get dressed up, but I really wasn't
excited to do it.
I wasn't excited, and I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm going to meet anyone. I was thinking, ugh, I'm not going to meet anyone. I'm going to be like pissed off. Someone's going to say something sexist to me, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be in a bad mood. But then I went out and I saw this guy, and I met him right away. And he just looked at me and he was like, decided I was going to be his new girlfriend.
Yeah.
And occasionally that happens. I mean, I feel like usually, well, I don't know. I do sometimes go after guys, but
I feel like a lot of the time it's somebody attracted to someone who just seems really grounded in them. Like you had just been like
right,
writing and doing you and being your truest self, and then he saw that, and it's different than the other women who are actively going out and trying to find a man to fix them or save them.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you can't. Well, listen, women. There is a certain kind of woman who always can find a guy to save her.
Yes.
And she always maybe will, and the guys get kind of worse and worse. as time goes on. But
Or she just gets better at tricking guys. There are, like, I have a friend who she's got a new boyfriend every 6 months, and I'm like, wow, you're soulmates with everyone.
exactly. And but that idea of a guy coming, that a relationship is going to save you, that's generally not going to happen. I mean, what's not going to happen is someone's going to come along and say, "You're what I've been looking for. Come and I'm going to rescue you." Mm-hmm. No.
And then there's the plastic surgery thing that we were kind of touching on before, where everyone's trying to look like this one archetype just so someone will like them and save them.
Yes. People technically look really good, and they've all got the great bodies. I mean, it's like breast implants are the biggest plastic surgery operation.
Yeah.
But
you have a crazy breast implant story in this book, too. Not your story, but one of the characters.
It's so common.
It's so why? Well, yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to give away anything in the book because it's such a good book.
What? I mean, one of the things that sparked that story of breast implant was actually that that reality show,
Botched. Yeah.
For some reason, I started watching Botched, and I took some.
It's thrilling.
But you know what? You can really get a lot, and if you want to do that story, because a lot of the women in there are in there for botched breast implants.
Yeah.
And I think I put something in there like they're scraping it out. It was like cement. I took that from Botched.
Yeah.
But it's like it's you see so many women who they do things that society tells them to do to be pleasing to men, to make your life look right so that a man will accept you.
Yeah.
And then you end up hurting yourself.
Well, that's the thing I feel like I was thinking in the book and in this recent year is that, like, the more yourself you become, the more you'll attract the person who's for you.
Exactly.
I mean, like, if you're trying to make yourself into this mold of somebody else, you're going to end up with a person that wants that person and not you.
I think that's truer words have never been spoken. I mean, that's
Candace
what
Bushnell.
I mean, that's what I've tried to, give that advice of be yourself. But it's today. I think it's like be yourself, but also get some plastic surgery too.
Yeah, try and look okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watch things like Love Island.
Oh my God! Stop. Do you know I have another podcast called We Really Love Island?
Really?
Yeah. I'm
What's
obsessed with Love Island. Charlotte is too. Charlotte was later on the bandwagon,
It
but
was.
like one of our last episodes that we just
I
put out
wanna
was
see-
with a guy from season 1.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated by. I mean, these people on these reality shows. It's like it's a thing. It's a job. It's interesting.
I think Love Island is the most interesting anthropological experiment ever.
You do more than Married at First Sight.
I haven't watched Married at First Sight yet.
You've got to watch
I know.
it. You've
People
got to
have-
watch it
yeah.
because it's some couples, they really, really do put them together. And I mean, there are couples when you see them together for the first time, you're like, oh my God, they look perfect together, and they are perfect together, and they get married and they help them. And it really makes me think, like, people need training. There's like so many people who they want to be married, but it's like, do you really want to be married?
Yeah.
There should be some kind
They like
of
the idea of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish I could do like some kind of like big training camp, around the United States. Candace's camp. But
What would you teach in training camp?
well, all that relationship stuff, like you've got to, I mean, I think it's interesting that they put them together and then they stay together. And because, there is a part of a relationship that is love the one you're with.
Yeah.
It's like,
And you have to get through tough stuff. That's what I like about Love Island is they can't just
Right.
leave the villa. They can't ghost each other. You have to talk about the problem, and sometimes they get through it.
well, it seems, I mean, I'm sort of surprised by how many of them are like, yeah, but you know what? I don't know if they really had sex.
I don't think they are this season because nobody wants to do it on TV.
I don't think they're having sex
Season 2.
Season 2, they're having
So
a
much
lot of
sex.
sex.
in the States.
No, in the UK. There's only one US season, and they're not having sex.
No, the U.S. season's not
It's
good.
not good.
I mean, I want to see the one in the U.K. That's the one I haven't seen.
Oh, yeah.
That's everything.
You gotta.
Oh, okay.
We'll share our Dropbox with you.
Oh, okay. That's because I'm watching the one on the United States, and I'm like, it's not.
No. Oh, that's why you're not as passionate. Okay. You're
God,
going
I'm
to
missing-
die for Love Island UK. It is
Okay.
wild.
I mean, I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so while we're talking about things we're passionate about, I feel like I just need to tell you about my Helix sleep mattress because after Love Island, it's my most passionate thing. I mean, okay, Love Island, sister, boyfriend, cat, Helix sleep mattress. That's pretty high up there. I love my Helix mattress so much. It's where I do most of my anthropological research, aka watching Love Island and all TV.
Yes.
From my Helix mattress. It's changed my life. I've never slept better. I've never slept more comfortably, more through the night. I've never been able to be a daytime napper until recently, and now I can do that with my Helix sleep. I can sleep whenever I want, and the wake-ups are easier too. I don't know, I think this just comes from getting a better night's sleep, but with my Helix mattress, I have been feeling great. And if you want your own Helix mattress, you will after this podcast. Go to helixsleep.com/howcome. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz. It'll match you to your perfect mattress based on your sleep preferences, your weight, your height, all of that stuff. You just put it into the quiz. It matches you with your perfect mattress as if it was like a matchmaker, but for beds.
Yes.
So you end up with this bed that you love. There is a 100-day guarantee. So in case you want to try your mattress and give it back, there is no risk. They will pick it up for you for free, but you'll love it. So you won't want to return it. Also, Helix is a really nice partner to How Come. They give a percentage of all of our sales that we make through helixsleep.com/howcome to us. So not only are you supporting your back and your lumbar support and making your sleep life better and your sex life better because they're great for sex, but you're also supporting your favorite podcast. So go to helixsleep.com/howcome, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and get the best mattress ever. Right now, Helix is offering up to $125 off of any mattress order. Oh yeah, that is up to $125 off any mattress order. So go to helixsleep.com/howcome and get up to $125 off your mattress right now. Doesn't that sound cool? I thought it would. All right, Candace, back to you. Speaking of good anthropology, I think of myself as a good anthropologist. We need to get back to your first orgasm story. So we had the do it guy who didn't do it. And then the second guy that you slept with was the older guy.
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, that was maybe,
A year after.
I slept with a few guys by then.
Nice. But none of them could make it happen. And you hadn't made it happen.
I probably had slept with like maybe 3 guys. So, yeah, I guess it was a year. And it happens. You know, it's like once you do it, you're like, hey, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in those days, everybody was doing it. It was like a new thing. I mean, it wasn't so...
Coming or people going down on each other?
Oh, no, just people, going down on each other.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I guess that was...
Was there anything special that the older guy was doing that the other ones weren't?
Knew how to do it better.
Okay.
And was more like, we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. And then... And it's, a lot of it is you got to do it with somebody else there. Which is also like, I know one is supposed to do that, but if you think about it.
I don't know. I've
I
had
don't know.
so many
You mean have your
orgasms
first-
alone.
You've had so many alone.
So many. My first was alone, but also I guess it was with my toys, so I wasn't completely alone. But yeah,
no, but I'm saying that having one with someone is like, it's like you gotta, you gotta get used to it. I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a performance. People are lying there like, saying things. It's like, don't be too unfettered.
Had you had one by yourself?
Maybe, but maybe not. I don't remember it was such a clear thing, but it was a clear thing.
Yeah.
And
But you'd have at least been
after
dabbling
that,
with yourself.
I guess,
Yeah.
yes. Or
Yeah.
maybe not even that much, because I had a lot of boyfriends,
Okay. Just
I
one of
mean-
those girls that I can't understand again. How'd you get so many boyfriends?
Well, you know what? Everybody had a lot of boyfriends. Everybody did. When there was not a problem finding guys who were interested. I mean,
That kind of makes me feel better because I feel like our mom had a lot of boyfriends, and she'd always tell us stories about having a lot of boyfriends. And then when I didn't have a lot of boyfriends, I was like, oh, well, I guess
you know what?
this is weird.
No,
I'm weird.
no. It was a completely different time. There was no internet. And that made a profound difference because, I mean, do you know people in this building?
Not really.
Okay, so
maybe a few that are my grandmother's friends.
Well, like back in the day, I mean, first of all, back in the day, nobody's on their phone,
Yeah.
right? It's basically the baby boomers, or I'm just like under the baby boomers. So there are it's a big generation. It's a big generation of people in their late teens, 20s, and early 30s. They're all hot. They're all looking for sex because you can't look for it on the internet. So it's like when you would go out on the street,
You just find somebody who's near you.
I mean, you would, people
Nanny and
would.
Papa lived across the street from each other.
Who?
Our grandparents.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you
Yeah.
would walk down the street. You could exchange glances with someone, and they could say something funny. You could say something funny. You could have a conversation, and you could end up going on a date.
Yeah.
That could never happen today.
Right. Well, speaking of generational differences and how things have changed in terms of dating, you have a lot of definitions and fun things in the book, like bicycle boys. You define there's all these different types of bicycle men, which are really fun that I've come across in the city. Like they're a very real breed.
Can you explain what those are?
Well, there are actually tons of them. And when I first started writing Sex in the City, there was this thing called the Bicycle Boy, and it was JFK Jr. And it was a couple of editors and like kind of tweedy guys. Like there was one guy from England. It was like, dude, nobody rides bikes around Manhattan.
Yeah.
But this would be a very stubborn breed of guy who like wanted to cling to some
nostalgia.
degree of his boyhood
Yeah.
by riding everywhere. It's like, I'm not really a grown up. I go around on a bike instead of in a, car service. So that was a particular breed. I wrote about them. And well, since then, everyone's on a bike. And there's just so many different kinds of guys on
Yeah.
bikes. And
They're not doing it to save money necessarily. Some of them are like
no,
billionaires.
They're not doing it to save money. They're doing it to impress their friends. There's the billionaire guy who I'm sure you've run across, who's got tons of, tons of money and the most expensive bike imaginable. And then in Sag Harbor.
I was going to say biking 100 miles to Shelter Island and back.
Insane.
Well, that is something that people do. No, they bike to Montauk. But in Sag Harbor, I mean, you see, well, it's something that tons of middle-aged couples do. And I would say if you're middle-aged, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. And you really
we know an older
could.
woman who's recently gotten separated, and all she wants is somebody who bikes with her. And we're like,
Yes.
yup.
Yes. People get a little addicted. So if you like to bike, you definitely could meet someone
Yeah.
biking. I mean, I didn't like any of the prospects, but
Yeah. There's super middles, there's SAPs, MNBs, my new boyfriends. There's just all these like different isms that are like so fun in the book that people should all get to know.
Yeah.
You also said as a single child-free woman, there is no script for you. Do you think there's a script for a single child-free man?
No, probably not. I mean, as a single child-free person,
Yeah. There's no script.
Yeah, there really isn't a script.
There's no you don't see that.
No.
And I feel like we've been seeing more people like through this podcast who like are child free and like can give us like different paths that we're like, ooh, that's very cool, and you're actually very fulfilled in life, and like
Most of the women we've interviewed.
yeah.
Yes. I mean, the truth is, I don't, and maybe it's just because these are the women I hang out with, but the women I know who do not have children do not regret it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't hear anybody who doesn't have kids saying, "Oh, I wish I had kids."
Yeah.
And also, I feel like the women who had kids, they're glad that they had kids.
Yeah, totally. And
So-
that's a thing too that I'm like reading the book, and I used to be like, oh, if I don't have a kid by 35, it's over. Like now I'm like, no, like I could very comfortably have a kid at 40 if I decide to then.
Yes.
But it's all like about your own script. And I do think it is easier in life to focus on other people a lot of the time, whether it's like, I need to get a boyfriend, and then you can focus on the boyfriend, and then like, well, now we have a husband, so I don't know what to do. So I need to get a kid, and I focus on the kid.
Right.
When you should try and focus on your own life, and the other things will come.
Yes. I mean, that's a much stronger position in life to be in, is to have your own stuff and, be your own person.
Do you think sex has gotten better with age?
I think, well, I guess the answer to is there still sex in the city is yes, but less. I mean, I had really good sex when I was younger. And I think that, one can still have really good sex. You don't want to, I mean, I used to want to have sex like a lot. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I really, really kind of wanted to have sex every day. And no. That
And
definitely lessens, which is smart because, you got to think about other things.
Yeah.
Like a career.
yeah.
But it's like quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well-
But it's like if you're. Here's the thing about sex. It's something that it doesn't really have anything to do with age. It has to do with, do you like it?
Yeah. Do you want to do it?
Actually like doing it with somebody else? I mean, a lot of people aren't all that comfortable with, being touched and all of that. And that might be one of the reasons why there's people are having do more porn and are having less actual sex.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that my feeling is that sex has gotten a lot worse in the last 30 years. Like women, I mean, I guess it's the porn sex guy where he has sex with you like he's in a porn movie really fast and, does all these different things. And it's just like,
Even
what?
the older guys?
No, the younger guys.
The younger guys.
Right.
No, but
I mean, but a
she's
lot
saying-
of the older guys now are, I mean, don't kid yourself. These guys, I mean, I've heard stories like, yeah, this guy's 75. He wants to have sex on the first night. They all want it now.
So there was one part when you're talking about the Mona Lisa treatment and with vaginal kind of rejuvenation, and it seems like a very expensive treatment, but it seems like you'd have to really want to be having sex.
Yes. I mean, the other thing is, I talked to somebody who had it and it worked.
It makes your vagina more elastic.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get into so much of the details with it, but she said it worked for her and she liked it. I mean, what it actually does is it thickens the skin because your vagina, it's just skin like everything else.
Sure.
It's muscle and skin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what it really kind of comes down to is the old use it or lose it thing. And a lot of women, they're not that turned on, but it's like, if a really, really hot 23-year-old guy walks into the room, you know what? They're turned on. Mm-hmm. I hate to say this, but that's like, Mother Nature
Just
has the
gets 'em
answers. I
going.
mean, it's like if a hot guy walks in, it's like if a hot young woman walks in, all the men, even the old men, are still like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
It's never going to stop. We're all just children and we're going through cycles until we die.
And we all like sex until we die.
Yeah. And is it okay? Is life still okay if there's less sex in the city?
Oh, God, yes.
Yes.
I mean,
There's so much more to life.
it's like,
I know we're saying that on a
There's
sex
just-
podcast, but
I
it's
know,
true.
I
Go
know,
out
but it's
there.
like-
Go
but-
bowling.
but really, it's like I feel like people should worry less about it. I have a feeling that
Yeah.
everybody probably has less sex than anybody admits, but
Some people are having more than they're admitting to. But
well,
just do
they're having
whatever
the
sex
secret
you
sex.
like.
Exactly.
Have a nice time. And if you don't want to have sex, don't have sex. Candace Bushnell, it's been so nice having you. Can you tell all of our listeners where they can find you and your latest book?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Candace Bushnell.
Great.
I just got that blue check mark.
Hell yeah. Oh, I want one, you guys. Can somebody make a
Listen,
fake account pretending to be me?
Okay, I had to basically like have a story in page 6
Yeah.
before they would verify me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Yeah.
That's
That's crazy, actually. That makes me feel better that you just got yours.
It's an algorithm. And it's like you either fit into it or you don't.
Yep.
Well,
Anyway,
yes.
the newest book is called Is There Still Sex in the City?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at CandaceBushnell.com. And my new book is There Still Sex in the City in bookstores or online.
It's amazing, you guys. Everybody should get it. Candace, we have to ask everybody this after a sexual experience, which this has been. Did you finish?
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
There is still sex in the city.
There is. Give me that cigarette. Give me that jewel, girls.
Give me that jewel. And as I puffed my jewel, I wondered, is Candace Bushnell my new best friend?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
That's Mr. Big.
Yes, it is. Charlotte, did you finish?
I sure did. Did you, Remy?
I did. Thank you for coming, everyone. And we'll see you next time on How Come.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I've still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz